The pride and face of Street Fighter, Ryu. Legendary warrior, trained in the Ansatsuken arts. Ryu has always had a sense of mystery to his persona. In this episode, we will narrow the many mysteries of Ryu, from why is his chest so huge in Street Fighter 6, to how he has the capability to dodge bullets. Without further ado, let me welcome you to the Street Fighter verse. We will start out with one of the most notorious events in the Street Fighter series, the clash between Ryu and Sagat. The story goes that Sagat holds the first World Warrior tournament to prove that he was the god of Muay Thai. After all, he had defeated all of his challengers. Sagat also made the tournament to prove that he is the strongest man in the world. Word come across that a young martial artist named Ryu had defeated a great quantity of Muay Thai fighters. Looking for a challenge, Ryu and Sagat fight against each other. During the fight, Ryu attacks Sagat with a Shoryuken and leaves a massive scar on his chest, nearly killing him in the act. The story follows that Ryu imposes victory over the menacing Muay Thai fighter. Meanwhile, Sagat swears vengeance on Ryu for his loss. An allegedly updated version of this event suggests that Sagat was winning the fight. It states that Sagat tried to help Ryu from the floor, when suddenly Ryu's Dark Hado kicks in and takes a cheap shot against Sagat and defeats him. Sagat becomes insane, consumed by vengeance, and decides to join the Shadow Lu. If we follow the updated version of what happened in the story, Ryu appeared to have lost his sportsmanship. It would have been at least fair for Ryu to admit that he lost the fight on fair terms. As a result of his actions, Sagat could have been killed with a cheap shot, which calls into question his combat composedness. But then again, we must also keep in mind that his Dark Hado was also responsible for his actions, which is the essence of Ryu's journey. Should we take that into consideration as well? Another instance is drawn from the Street Fighter manga, Street Fighter Alpha Volume 1, created by Masahiko Nakahira, where we would find Ryu in Southeast Asia, along the coast of Thailand. And you might be asking, what is he doing in that part of the world? It seems that Ryu was in a ship that contained a vastful amount of high-grade heroin, alongside Birdie, being bodyguards for narcotic smugglers. This doesn't necessarily make him a bad person, or does it? I mean, if it's a financial decision as to why Ryu might be going to these extremes and looking for ways to get some money in his pocket, well, it could be understandable. But then again, he could have done other types of jobs. He could have just asked his rich training partner Ken Masters for some money, or even a job at his company for that matter. In another instance, we can see in the ending of Sakura's Street Fighter Alpha 2 ending, we can see a motivated Sakura looking forward to having the opportunity to train with Ryu. Sakura in her ending begs Ryu to teach her, but Ryu replies in a somewhat rude demeanor. Ryu states in his ending, and I quote, "I'm still learning myself. I got no time for schoolgirl games. You are on your own." In our opinion, we really think Ryu could have handled the situation a bit better. I'm not sure if it's the way the Capcom team translated the text in English, but he appears to sound selfish and self-centered. Ryu could just take the time and at least give the upcoming fighter some pointers, teach her a couple of things, and let her down easy, and then be on your way. Even the actor that plays Ryu in the real Street Fighter movie is an evil Wall Street manager in the movie The Big Short. Okay, so the last one was a small joke, but you get the picture. To us in the Street Fighter verse, Ryu doesn't seem to fit the good guy hero narrative. Rather, he seems more like a neutral guy. If Ryu were a good guy, he would beat Bison or other bad boss type characters for the greater good. Ryu seems to take actions purely in his self-interest. Ryu can be generous at times, but he is most concerned about himself, which is not bad in a way. I mean, that's his whole persona, growing as a fighter and being better every day. In our opinion, Guile would fit the hero persona if we were to compare. Even if you're not so aware of the beginnings and creation of the Street Fighter universe, many of the Street Fighter characters are heavily inspired either by popular anime or manga series or real-life martial artists. In this case, this major design change that has been implemented for Ryu in Street Fighter 6 may have made Ryu more similar to the real-world karate master who inspired the character's creation. And who is this real-world karate master that we speak of? Well, Ryu is inspired by the karate legend himself, Matsusatsu Oyama. Ryu's height and physique appears to closely resemble Oyama's muscular build, arguably even better than before. As you can see most clearly with Ryu's wide chest and shoulders, this was a deliberate decision by the developers, but we won't know why until they divulge the reasoning behind it. Despite being fairly average-sized, 5 feet 8 inches, Oyama looked very stocky due to his muscular build. In his later years, Oyama also had a wider and hardened face, which can be seen on Street Fighter 6 Ryu, compared to where he was in Street Fighter 5. When it comes to the origins of the original Street Fighter's creator Takashi Nishiyama was apparently influenced by the manga series Karate Master, which is based on the life of Oyama. With Oyama's world-renowned martial arts skills and philosophies, Nishiyama created the first Street Fighter. Like Ryu, Oyama spent much of his time training in solitude, in the forest and mountains, developing his own style and purpose. It is no surprise that Ryu's martial arts are also characterized by hard-hitting, yet simple practical strikes. Mas Oyama was also tough, considering he'd run a 100-man kunai multiple days in a row. Oyama has made his bones so strong that even when his attack was blocked, he would often break the bones of his opponent blocking arm. And while his hands were legendary, he was also known for his powerful head kicks. His nickname, God Hand, came from his ability to fight and defeat bulls with his bare hands. Yes, a lot of people would disagree that this version of Ryu encapsulates the essence of Mas Oyama. They would agree that the best version of Ryu was the classical Street Fighter II era's artwork. We think it's actually an amazing design, and it gives an awesome homage to Oyama himself. Let me give you an example why. Just by the introduction, you can see the level of detail in its graphics. They look amazing. The actual Capcom team is leaving that cartoonish style and feel of the other Street Fighter games and embracing a more realistic approach to its franchise. Change is inevitable, and change for the good is great. So let's see what this new Capcom team has in store. To gather information, we're going to start with Ryu's speed. He's quite fast if we take into consideration the fact that he can dodge bullets without any effort. This information is based on the Street Fighter Alpha anime movie. According to WonderPolice.org, in their article, How Fast Can a Bullet Travel?, it states that when a bullet flies through the air, they do so at amazing speeds. The fastest bullets travel more than 2,600 feet per second. That is equivalent to over 1,800 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, it's amazing to realize that bullets travel over twice the speed of sound. Usain Bolt, currently the fastest man alive, can max out at 12.27 meters per second, not even close in range with the velocity of the firing bullet. You'd have to factor in reaction time as well. The human brain is fast, but not fast enough. Not for the task you set before it anyway. So it's a pretty amazing skill Ryu has mastered. Another example of Ryu's speed can be traced in his famous Satsumaki Seppunkyaku. According to the website Phonia.com, and their article named Demonstrate Scientifically that Ryu from Street Fighter is faster than Usain Bolt, it states that a university study concludes that to perform the famous helicopter, you need a speed of 108 kilometers per hour. Ryu needs a speed of 67 miles per hour, almost 108 kilometers per hour, to make its flagship technical Satsumaki Seppunkyaku, more known in Spain as the helicopter. That is the conclusion of a university work conducted by the British in the year 2015. The student, as stated by this website, did this work while studying engineering at the University of Leicester, and his goal was to calculate if it were possible that a human being could do that movement and, in that case, what would be the physical requirements to achieve this. He estimated that for a human being to be able to stay floating in the air, performing that movement should be performed at 30 meters per second. In comparison, the great sprinters in 100-meter dash achieve peak speed of over 40 kilometers per hour, so that Ryu is more than 2 times faster than all of them. In strength, Ryu is well known to be a strong-willed character. Ryu's power comes from his years of training and unwillingness to give up. While training with Oro, Ryu manages to do an amazing feat that even surprised Oro himself. In a demonstration of Ryu's strength in that story, Ryu can lift a boulder while Oro's sitting on top of the boulder. The estimated weight of the boulder is said to be over 48 tons. According to an interesting post we found on Quora, Antonio Fur broke the math down and calculated numbers on the weight Ryu had when carrying that boulder. 48 tons is the equivalent of 96,000 pounds, which is pretty heavy. To put it into consideration with the strongest man, Hafthor Bjornsson, the Game of Thrones actor, set the world record in deadlifting at 1,104 pounds, according to The Guardian, which is not even close to the strength Ryu has in his arsenal. Ryu can go hand to hand with Akuma. Akuma is known to be very powerful, to the extent of stopping a meteor with a punch. In Akuma's ending in Street Fighter, he manages to break an island with his power. Even though it is in his Oni phase in the Asura's Wrath installment, Akuma also manages to split a moon in half. If you add it all up, Ryu is a very strong individual, having the ability to withstand the strength of a character of that magnitude, and still go toe-to-toe with Akuma. That alone is an amazing example of the strength that Ryu possesses. Ryu's standard special attacks are the Hadouken, generally referred to as the Fireball, the Shoryuken or Dragon Punch, and the Satsumaki Sebunkiaku or Hurricane Kick, in which we talked about earlier. The basic type of Hadouken is a surging punch in which a fighter's willpower is utilized to focus energy into and through the palms. As the palms are thrust outwards towards the target, a surging energy wave is expelled that results in a punching force traveling through the air in the opponent's direction. According to the Street Fighter II official fan book, the Hadouken is said to be as warm as normal body temperature, contrary to popular belief that it is a fireball. Depending on its practitioner, its force of impact varies. This gives an opening to Ryu's true power with its Hadouken. Since the Hadouken can't be measured systematically, we can assume that the Hadouken's strength has the potential for further growth, thus making Ryu's Hadouken unknowingly powerful. The Shoryuken is primarily used as an anti-air move. However, with some practice, it is possible to use it to counterattack almost any move. In the Street Fighter II series, the Shoryuken is almost completely invincible while rising, meaning it can pass through projectile attacks, potentially striking the recipient in the act of throwing them. It is also rumored on blogs that Ryu might be a Revenant. A Revenant is a person who has returned, especially supposedly from the dead. If he is really a Revenant, his powers become godlike, since he isn't even born. Here in the Street Fighterverse, we have a video that goes in detail on Ryu's theory. You are welcome to check it out. I will leave the link in the description box below. Ryu's dedication to the arts have granted him the ability to become one of the greatest and strongest characters in the Street Fighter universe. His objective is to always do better, to be a greater fighter than from what he is now. I cannot imagine how powerful Ryu is going to get in the future. Definitely something to be on the lookout for. So what do you like about Ryu? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on new theories and info. Thank you for watching. This has been your Street Fighter host. Welcome to the center stage. Our new Discord server. There you can talk with us, chat about current events going on in Street Fighter, information, theories, and lore. We'll leave the link in the description box below. We want to thank everyone for tuning in and becoming part of this Street Fighter community. We want to thank you for your positive comments towards our channel because it only habilitates us to grow even more. From the Street Fighterverse crew, we thank you.